What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. Today it's going to be a bit of a longer video, as you can obviously tell, but I'm going to be showing you how to catch a muskie. And this goes off of, I'll have 3 different topics here, timestamps on the screen of where you want to see each one. Starting with over here somewhere, we got the lowest budget that you can possibly get, pretty much scraping the bottom of the bin, what you can get away with, that you can still catch muskies with. We've got the stuff that is very high dollar, like top of the line, you've got to be crazy rich to have it, to just how to catch a muskie, where to go, what baits to use, how to work those baits, that sort of thing. Timestamps are all on the screen for each one of those 3. If I have a cough, I'm sorry. A little bit of a pneumonia going lately here. Alright guys, so we're gonna start with the low dollar stuff first. So I basically went onto Craigslist here, and I'm just kind of looking at stuff in the area, Wausau, Wisconsin area. I don't live in Wausau, but it's nearby. We've got a $900 14-foot bass boat here. $900, that little 14-foot John boat, it's not a bass boat, John boat, that'll get you away with it. It's got a trolling motor on it. Bigger motor on the back, obviously. It'll get you from place to place. $900. That's scraping pretty bottom of the bin there. In terms of price, it's a 1978 is this model, so it's older, but you can definitely get away with it. Looks like it was probably used for duck hunting or something like that. The whole thing is painted camouflage. But yeah, basically I want this boat even. It's cheaper, so that'd be more if you're just, my age. I'm 16 years old. I'm looking for a boat myself, but something I can afford. That's definitely in my price range. Or if you just have a lower budget or you want to save money too, and still get away with it. So that would be what you would get for a boat. That's got the motor on it and stuff already. That's what I'm including in the price, is boat, motor. We'll talk about trolling motor separate, which this one, just say what trolling motor it has on it. It's an older trolling motor, just something small, but it gets the boat around. That's all you really need. $900, all that's included. That's your boat. So next we're going to go, sticking on the low budget stuff yet, extreme bottom of the bin. I'd say we talk about nets. So our net, you've seen it in our videos. I'll pop up a few clips, or my videos I should say. Pop up a few clips here of the net that we're using. This net's probably upwards of 30 years old. If we sold that today, we'd probably only get 20 bucks for it. It's not the best net in the world, but it definitely gets us by. It works. You guys have seen us use it. Not quite as big as you really would want, but I mean, it works. So that's sorry. That kind of bottom of the bin sort of thing, It's cheaper. It gets the job done. That's what we're going for right now. So that's it for net. Next, I'd say we go into rods and reels. So as you've seen me using in my older videos, I had that 6.5-foot St. Croix and that old Abu Garcia reel. Combined setup, probably, that's a used one, maybe $50. I mean, it's real cheap. That reel is probably $20 or so. That rod's probably 30-ish by now. It gets you by. It's not optimal, but we're going for bottom of the bin. It works, certainly. You've seen me use it. I would still use it if I didn't have my shock and all that I got, obviously. And it's a great rod. I mean, it's a nice rod. Older, that's still probably a 30-40 year old rod reel setup, and it'll get you by. That's all you need. So line, I'm not even gonna say line. Line is mandatory. Has to be pretty much brand new. I mean, replace it every 5 or so years maybe, because that's just mandatory. Otherwise you'll just start killing fish and hurting fish. That's 20 bucks for some nice Power Pro V2 slick, 80 pound, which is what I run. From there we'll go on to, well, I mean, leaders are pretty, only use brand new leaders, don't be using used leaders. Baits, you can use cheap baits, guys. You can use cheap baits. That 6-inch Musky Mania Jake, I don't have any of that with me right now. Obviously it does good for us. We've had action on it. That bait's probably worth $7 by now. It's cheap, and this isn't used yet. Obviously, you can get used Suics on Facebook Marketplace. I see them for $5 every now and then. Those will still go out and catch fish. That's all you really need, is something smaller like that. So I mean, that's all you need. Anything else I can really think of? Obviously you have a vehicle. I'm not gonna go into vehicles though. I'd say that's just about it for the low budget stuff and what exactly you need. Scraping the bottom of the bin. Scraping the bottom of the bin. This is your low budget stuff that you have. Not the high dollar items, but it gets you by. Obviously I recommend upgrading. We're on the process of that. Doing pretty good with it too. So, I can't really think of anything else to add to that. That'd be it. So, next we're going to the high dollar items. This is gonna be those things that are just crazy, absolutely crazy expensive. Way too expensive. Don't know why anyone would buy this, but it's the brand new stuff. Alright, so we're going to start with boat again. Highest priced boat you can get that would be optimal for this. That's what I'm going with now, because now we're on that high dollar. You got a humongous budget. You're going for something that's optimal. You're not just saying, oh, that's expensive, I'm buying it. You gotta go what's optimal. So, right here we have the Ranger Z521L Icon. If I said that right, or however, I'll just pop it up on the screen here. $100,000 is how much that bass boat is. $100,000. Why would anyone pay that for a bass boat? I do not know, but guess what? That's what it is. We actually, what we went to, we paid, I'm not gonna tell you how much we paid for it, but you'll see in future videos, we have a brand new bass boat. When I say brand new, I mean it's 2006. So it's 10 years older than our other boat, but it's a bass boat. It's not that deep V. This will sit low in the water, way more stable, fiberglass, and it's just, I love the boat right now. Haven't put a fish in it yet. We're saving that for next year now. And yeah, hopefully. Oh shoot, I never covered bump boards. We used a ruler for low budget stuff. We just used a tiny little. I'll just edit this into the low budget part. Measuring your fish. Just a little soft tape that you can find around laying in your house. I'm sure you got something laying like there. That's all you need. Very low budget. All right. So that covers that boat then. Then we've got the high-end trolling motors. Now, the trolling motor we're gonna go with is the Minn Kota Tarova. This has the iPilot, the spot lock, the path tracing, I think is what you call it. $1,500 for that trolling motor. So that's a nice price for it, but it's gonna be awesome. I mean, we're gonna love it. Connect that to our Helix 7s we're gonna get, which there is more expensive actually. So here's our most expensive in terms of sonar stuff. Your low budget, you don't need sonar stuff. I'll get into that later in the video when we get to how to catch these muskies, by where to look for them and stuff like that, different times of year. So, if this will ever load here, Humminbird Helix 15 Chirp Mega Side Imaging plus GPS, Gen 4 with networking. Most expensive locator we're going with here, $3,000 for one. Now, optimal setup is to have two in the boat, so that's $6,000, actually total $7,500 in your electronics you got right there because of trolling motor, of course, which will be linked to that. And basically the way that this works then is, obviously you've seen pictures of side imaging here. Here's another picture. What you can do is that you can actually mark out waypoints on the side of these stuff here. You can mark out those waypoints and mark out, like, say, the edge of a brush pile or the edge of a weed edge, a nice weed edge. That's what you look for when you're going for muskies, weed edges. So basically, when you mark that out, you're driving around, you're by your console there, and you got your massive Helix 15 for whatever reason, and we're not going with that. You mark out your waypoints and stuff, you go to the front of the boat to start fishing, you don't have any marks, you have no idea where to go. You have to keep walking back and forth to see where your waypoints are, see if you're in the right spot. You combine the two, network them together, that's what the N at the end of the long name says. As for networking, you network that one to another Helix that you put up in the front, and that shows you your waypoints. So then you can go cruise around, mark all your waypoints, go up front, use the trolling motor while you're fishing, and you can see those waypoints, you know exactly where to go. This also helps if you maybe see a fish on side imaging, which if you watch maybe Burn and Nate's videos, I know they've done that before. They'll see a muskie on side imaging, cast to it, catch the fish. Personally, I've done that way, just got side imaging. All right, so that would be kind of it for electronics. Now I'm gonna say high end on rods. High end stuff, this is most expensive, and then I'll tell you optimal as well here. Most expensive you can get would be the, I believe it's Premier Musky rod from the, from St. Croix. Would be the Premier Musky rod. $580 for the rod. Just the rod. Just rod. No reel, no line, nothing. And, yeah, that's, I mean, it might be a good rod, it might not be, I'm not quite sure, I'm never gonna use it. For most expensive reels, there's the Shimano Calcutta, I believe it is. I can check that really quickly. It is Calcutta Conquest 400. $559 for a musky reel. I see no purpose in that. I'll stick with my Revo Toro Beast, thank you very much, which is a $300 setup. That combines to over $1,100 in your rod and reel there, plus line, plus leader, plus bait. You got a lot of money in your hands then. That's your very high-end sort of thing. I wouldn't recommend doing that even, because I'm not sure it's the best performance. Just because it's got a big price tag doesn't mean it's always better. Personally, I use the Salt Stick Original. I have a shotgun on right now. I'll be getting another rod soon. I believe I'll be getting the Tactical Strike, and that's a $199 rod. It's awesome. I love it. It's best performance, I would have to say. Maybe the 2020 is better. That's $350. But it's just, I have my personal preferences. Everyone has their own. But that's what I say go with, is the original Assault Sticks. Now, when you look at reels that I prefer, that was the $570 reel here. I use the Shimano, or not Shimano, Abu Garcia Revo Toro Beast. Brand new reel. I get $300 for that. Love it. Works awesome. Haven't had a problem with it. It's ground gears a few times on accident, and it still works great. So that's what I say to go with. Most guys will say Shimano with the Tranks. No, Tranks are not very good reels in my opinion. I just feel like they're pretty overrated. Otherwise, what else would you need for your high-end stuff? Let's go with baits. So, in terms of the higher-end baits, obviously you got your brand new stuff, your Medusas, your Poseidons, Bulldogs. You've got your stuff from Hooked on Musky baits that are unreleased at this current time that I'm recording this. They will be out during the Milwaukee Musky Expo, which I will be at, in the booth with Christian from Hooked on Musky Baits. So I got the date for that right here as well if you guys want to pop in. Otherwise, in terms of baits then, he's got his bomb would be $15 off of the Musky shop. Great bait. Caught me lots of fish, nice fish too. That's all it really is. So otherwise, high-end baits, something I will never throw, never own. The most expensive musky bait there is Lee Lures 14-inch Leviathan. If you don't know what that is, here's a picture of it. And here's the price tag. $200 for this bait. More than 200 actually. I don't know the exact price off the top of my head. I will have to look. Oh look, it's already pulled up here because I've looked at it and how stupidly expensive it is. I mean, the 10-inch Leviathan's $100. I don't know why there's such a huge jump to 14 inches. $284.99. There's no point in that. Why? Why is that expensive? I don't know. That's your high end of the baits. I don't know why you would get it. Maybe it does work, maybe it doesn't. I don't know. I'm not gonna throw it. Otherwise, I like throwing a good chunk of rubber. I'm getting into more your Bulldogs. I like Alpha Dogs most, and then Medusas. And obviously, I'll be throwing Christian Hooked on Musky Baits. Those products, I mean, I'm sponsored. I mean, it's not just because I'm sponsored. They work. They work really well. They worked for me. They worked for people I know. They're good baits. They're good quality. They hold up well. So that's where you get for high-end versus low-end stuff, guys. And vehicles, whatever. There's nothing else I can really talk about in terms of difference between high end, low end, nets. Yeah, nets and bump boards. We'll get into both of those. So, high end net, the net we're looking at is $279. It's a Frey bill. I don't remember exactly which model, but it's got a nice thick rubber on it, which is what you're looking for in the meshing. It won't cut, teeth won't cut through it. It's perfectly fine, safe for the fish. Folds away for nice storage, very convenient, very light. Excellent net. That's the one that we're gonna go with here eventually. I don't know when. I recommend you guys get that as well. Bump boards. Brand new bump boards are $120. My dad actually made his own for approximately $20. It's not gonna float, which is the only downfall to it. Otherwise, it's great. It is a little bit heavy as well, but it is gonna be awesome. I'm gonna love it. Hopefully we get that wet within this next year here. So yeah, that's where we're at with that right now. All right, guys. So now we're getting into the. My cat was fine. I put her outside though. How to catch muskies, when to catch muskies, where to catch muskies, all that good stuff. So, starting opening weekend up here in the Northwoods, last weekend in May. Where you're gonna want to target is kind of that 9 to 12 foot range. Find weeds if you can. Weeds are everything. But 9 to 12 foot range is usually where we're casting into ish. Sort of, maybe a little bit shallower, but not by much. The bait fish are still deep, so the muskies are still deeper. So, like I said before, husky jerks, those small bucktails are what you're gonna want to be using at that time of year. Maybe a small suic, but small stuff. Bass baits catch a lot of muskies in the spring. Death Paws minnow from Lee Lures. It's a 5.5 inch little jerk bait that does great for them early season. You just want that small kind of deal. They're just trying to put on pounds after the winter and just nab up whatever they can, and it's usually small stuff that they're going for. So that's spring. I'll usually run that ish to, I feel like I need to slow down here. Kind of run that until mid-June-ish. I'll start upsizing my baits a little bit. Going from like my micro Medusa, my mini Medusa in mid-June there. Maybe from like that single 6 or single 7 to a single 8, maybe like a 7/8, starting to get into that time period. A 7/8 is what you're looking for more. 7/8 bomb, great option. Maybe like a single 8 fluted is what I have a nice one of. So just starting to upsize stuff, you know, not massive crazy, but we're starting to get into a little bit bigger, you know, more your typical stuff. In terms of jerkbait stuff, I keep running about the same ish. Bulldogs, definitely regular bulldogs will start coming in handy, real in handy. I wouldn't go to an regular alpha dog quite at that time. I would go with a regular alpha dog, maybe end of June, somewhere in there. That'd be what you're really gonna get the fish on there. Yeah, that's kind of how that goes. And then at that time, it depends on the weed growth, but maybe start sliding up to fish that more. Like maybe instead of that 8 to 12 foot zone, maybe you're fishing more that 6 to 10 foot zone, but sticking not quite, somewhere in there is usually where I stay, maybe even 12 feet yet. That's a great depth all year round, I guess I should say. All year round, pretty much 14 foot to about 4 foot is pretty much golden all year round. That's your main zone, but obviously you get a little bit kind of shallower as the year goes on and on and on and on until you get to late fall when turnover happens. That's when you shoot down deep. So I'll usually stay will be in that 10 foot area, casting into 6 foot-ish. And I'll be running that 8/8 then, that 8/9, 7/8, just that kind of bucktail range is where I'm looking at. Keeping the mini, maybe mid Medusa rolling, starting to get somewhere into that range. Most guys will be running regulars by then, but that's just too big in my opinion. Keep that mid going through there. It'll get you all the fish you need. The regular alpha dogs will be starting to pop then end of June. Jerk baits, like kind of a twitch bait, I'd go to a 7-inch size would be the optimal then, maybe just under 7-inch, and then you pretty much keep that for a while. In terms of, obviously your rod action has to change depending on how heavy of a lure you're throwing. I'm just going to stick with the Chaos line for this. So we've got the Surgical Strike starting off at the bottom, which is a medium heavy, 3/4 of an ounce to 4 ounce lure rating. So that'll handle your micro medusas, that'll handle your single 8s, that'll handle your single 6s, that'll handle top water stuff. I didn't even cover top water, which starts personally to key in more later in June. I don't like using top water too early as they're still kind of just getting down there, you know, eating. But that's kind of the way I go with it. And look for the warm water in spring too. Warm water, good. Colder water, bad. They're wanting to warm up in the spring. It's the way muskies are. So we're getting into that, starting in July 4th weekend, we do tons of fishing. Double 8s is where I love. Double 8s shine that time of year. Maybe an 8/9 stagger or maybe a 7/9 for blades if you're going into 9. Single 9s, single 10 potentially starting then would be a good option. We've also got then your mid medusas you're running yet. Maybe starting to get to a Magnum Bulldog. I'm not quite sure. I don't know that I'd say Magnum, but regular alpha dog for sure, and your normal regular dog. Starting to get those jerk baits kind of somewhat off the table, or getting them upsized a little bit more. You're not going to be throwing those micro medusas, mini medusas anymore. Your husky jerks, you're not going to be throwing that anymore. So yeah, maybe a 9H Suic starts to shine then. I'm not 100% on Suics quite yet. I personally have to stick to bucktails and rubbers where I like. Also that time of year, a Suic curly spin is something that starts to key in. As both the right size, gives off tons of vibration. You can work slow, fast, whatever you want to. It seems to get the muskie's attention. I did really good on that one day this year. Didn't catch anything, but I mean, contacted a lot of fish, more fish than I usually do in a day. Okay, so moving on, we get far into later July. Water temps by then are usually over that 80-degree mark. When you see water temps over 80 degrees, quit muskie fishing, because A, they aren't going to be biting as much, and B, if they do bite, you're likely going to kill the fish because it's just so hot. You don't want to do that to the fish. Usually by then I'll try and find the cooler water if I can. Usually it's big water. Big water takes longer to warm up, takes longer to cool down. So I'll target bigger water then, and you'll have that cooler water temp stuff. Fish will be biting. It's safe for the fish. All good to go. I'd stick with that mid Medusa, regular alpha dog kind of. I'd leave that pattern going all the way through August. Maybe throw in your regular X-Toads in there as well. But bucktails is really a key for me, if I'm being honest here. So double 9s are starting to kick in when you get towards the end of July there. Maybe like your 8-10 combos starting to get into something bigger. 8-9s are still shining, 8-7s. To me, 8-7, based off of this year with the 8-7 bomb between me and Christian booked on Musky Baits, who makes the bait. Apologies if I'm going too fast. I might be able to slightly slow it down and make it sound better. It's just the way I talk. He did really good on the 7/8 this year, as you saw in my one video and in his video, I'm sure too. Link in the description to his channel. He caught a 41.5 when I was fishing with him on 7/8 that day, and we only had action from his baits that day. Bucktails was all they were doing anything on. So we had follows on unreleased stuff that I'm really not gonna say because it's cool. Yeah, that was a good day. That'd be where your mid Medusas are still gonna be going off. Regular alpha dogs are definitely gonna be in play. I prefer alpha dogs over regular bulldogs just because of that oversized tail. Gives a lot more action compared to the body. But I mean, you can still use a regular bulldog or a regular mag dog, not regular pounder. I don't throw pounders. So that's where you kind of are, and I usually like to keep that pattern of the mid Medusa and that sort of thing going all the way through August pretty much, and then once we start sliding into September, that's when things get really interesting for me at least. Otherwise I keep that same pattern through August. It seems to do good for me. Definitely throw in your top water, your top raiders, your any chopper kind of stuff like that, fast moving, higher up, definitely good. targeting that same depth range. Looking for the weeds is the biggest thing at this point. Is when you find the weeds, pretty much you find the fish. Looking for bait's the biggest thing, but if you don't have electronics, you can't really do that. But once you start finding bait, then you're pretty golden. So finding bait's key year round, I guess I should say, but it's just gonna keep shining for you, you know, when it's warmer water temps. But when we get into September, water temps starting to cool down a little bit. Those fish start sliding up shallow. We get to 65-degree water temps, and I break out my mag dogs. I break out my regular medusas. I break out my double nines, my 10-9s. Like that sort of thing starting to key in for me. Maybe an 8-inch minnow bait, but I'd still say 7-inch minnow bait would be the best way to go there. And that's kind of the way I roll for baits. But then 5-6 foot, maybe even 4 foot. Those fish are all shallow. Shallow, 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 shallow. That's key in September, is shallow. Fish push shallow in September. Otherwise, I will go to that's kind of the way it goes in September. I mean, I did good. I was fishing in that 5 to 6 foot range in September when I caught that 41. That one came on that regular Medusa, so that's kind of where I like to stick to, is that regular size of Medusa, or that Magnum Bulldog starting to come into play a little bit more. If you're doing regular, I wouldn't go to regular. I'd stay with the Alpha Dog, just because it's got more vibration and bigger. Double dogs are key too. Magnum double dogs are like a late fall bait for me. A regular double dog will be working good through July through all the way to September. Not much more I can say really for September. It's kind of textbook stuff I'm going over here. Nothing too special to it for me. But otherwise, when you get into October, water temps are really starting to cool down. I'm still upsizing my baits. I'm not rolling anything smaller than a double 9 at this point usually. I actually have a double 12 that I was throwing this last weekend here when I was fishing. We didn't end up getting any action, but that's when suckers really come into play for me, is once those water temps pretty much below like that 55-ish mark. Is when most people say, but I actually say 60 degree water temps. I feel suckers are keying in there. Which suckers then from year out. Once you start putting suckers in the water, don't stop. You're going the rest of the year till ice out. They're key that time of year. But we're not good at sucker fishing. We gotta figure fall fishing out really. But yeah, that's the way it goes. So then October is when you'll want to use your Magnum Alpha Dogs, maybe your regular pounder, maybe, but I'm not saying, you know, I say Magnum Alpha Dog, but that's my deal, that's the way I go with it. Then you also have your Husky Medusas, XL X-Toads, you're getting big. As far as minnow baits go, I'd say you gotta go at least 8-inch, at least. I mean, if you can go bigger than 8-inch, sure, but like 10-inch Suics then, or maybe even a 12-inch Suic would be a good deal there. Let's see. Susie Suckers. If you're using a Susie Sucker, that's a great bait. I'd go with 9-inch or even the size up from that. I'm not quite sure what that size is, but that's where I would end up being with that. So if you go to minnow baits, I'd definitely say go with that 8-inch minnow bait size. I wouldn't go with a 10-inch really. You start getting into that really, really big stuff, but Crane 208s maybe. Personally, I don't like cranes. They seem to have too much flotation to me. Not a big fan of that. They just don't get down quite far enough, and the time it takes to reel up your slack, it's popping out of the water on you. But yeah, that's kind of what I get into for an October pattern into the rest of November till ice out, is you're throwing that sort of thing. And that's when your depth changes, is once the lake turns over at about 55-ish degrees. Obviously smaller lakes turn over first. Bigger, deeper lakes turn over last. You'll start wanting to go to basically those nice steep breaks or mid-lake humps. Anything pretty much to me as below the 12-foot mark, up to maybe the 25-foot mark, is where you're gonna start finding those muskies. And then you'll starting to want to work those Poseidons, like a 12-inch Poseidon, nice and slow. maybe using some bondies for vertical jigging is definitely good in the fall, specifically the fall. You can do it other times of the year, obviously, but fall to me, it just seems like it's better. What else really is there? Bucktails kind of seem out of the question as far as topwater too. Once turnovers happen, because they're just going deep at that point. So you don't really want to be getting those high presentations unless you're really slow rolling those bucktails. Glide baits are kind of out of the option to me too. Then you're kind of going to your crankbaits, trolling stuff as well. 10-inch lead lures, pelagic, crankbait does great for those guys. The Today's Angler crew throughout the fall. Just really big baits in the fall is the key. Between that and suckers, and that's until ice out when you can't fish anymore. So that would be my spiel on everything you need to do catching the muskie wise. That's the way we do it, at least on different times of the year, and just kind of the feeling that you have around you. You know, that's just the way we go. Every single person then who has a question about catching muskies that I didn't cover, or that you just want to know, maybe I didn't cover it and you just didn't watch the video, or I don't care. Comment down below. Leave as many comments as you possibly can about stuff you want to know about the way I do things and the way that brings success to me doing that sort of thing, if it brings success. Otherwise, thank you guys so much for watching. This whole thing was actually a school project that I need to do, but make sure you guys hit the like button down below and subscribe if you want to see some musky fishing videos, because those are coming soon, more of those, and I'm excited. We also have Facebook and Instagram down below. Make sure you hit those links and go give me a follow over there. And another announcement, Milwaukee Musky Expo, it's Valentine's Day weekend down at Milwaukee, you know. Just Google Milwaukee Musky Expo. I'm going to be there with Christian from Hooked on Musky Baits. We're going to be sharing a booth together, and it's going to be a great and wonderful time. If you want to come meet me, Christian, do a little, we can talk about muskies all you want, and you can get some of his baits too. He's got a lot of new releases coming and new colors too, so be excited for that, guys. Other than that, we're going to see you in the next one. Sorry if I bored you at all or anything like that, but that's just the way it goes. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one.